Tonight we have some readings, and maybe we'll start with Louis or Mom, you can say what you want.
Thanks to Colin and the other Colin for hosting us. It's a wonderful venue. We were just in London a little while ago, competing with West End karaoke. So this is a nice change of situation where we have a place to ourselves. So yeah, this is VLAK 4. It does come out once a year. We got editors based in Amsterdam, Prague, London, New York, Paris, Berlin, Melbourne. There's some Melbourne poets. One Melbourne poet in the region out as well. The next issue of VLAK is not themed usually, but there is going to be a bit of more of a focus than there already is, which is quite substantial, on collaborative poetics. And in this issue there's quite a bit of collaborative poetry, particularly a section curated by one of our editors, Stephen Fowler in London, Colorado Project. And what I'm going to read from is part of a collaborative sequence with the Australian poet John Kinsella called Monument, which has to do with cultural institutions and commodification of power and so on and so forth. We've been collaborating on a series of poems since 1997, 98. This is from Monument. These are all pseudo-sonnets. Hotel lobbies emblazoned in Churchill-era British bulldog prints, austerity jingles, brainwash and South Bank. The model shop with plastic Demerol Marilyns where light degenerates into pseudo-micacious sub-terror and creases. Icon catastrophe, blurring the line, more or less likely sucking off the nitrate dispenser. Crass renditions, soil noirish out the number 10, how to sully blocks of stone. Why make sense when crap sells? Purple-eyed dollar dazzlers creaming off the regulations and vibrations, battery-packed, butt-plug ceramic, pitons, shattered and gathered, gartered, knee-sock risible. Do you pay extra for the black eye? Add an inch to your reactionary values, pay now and play later, decupped, feisty, discursive, super-siliconed, exit through the fit-up. Tremble in the face of all that chthonic moo-mooometry, a bum steer of Canberra's artificial hind leg wired to the new survey resonance. Retro, mindtronic, cinch your sink ports, menzies, Roman baths, no pufters allowed. We only F by the rules. Synchronistic rudiments means Dago digs diggers donger. Pantheon is French for dream on, baby. Go fly that kite or swing that pendulum. Pamp your neck with a new rope. Relapse is a tasty morsel of Barbie flotsam. Backdated. Eat my majority. Do you have what it takes? Grab the opportunity between the legs before it gets away. Me, massive or diminutive. Get your free facial today. Docu-real fascist orifices. Insert name of ministry here. The back door, where lions emerged into rugger huddles, press pack floozies. Performing random splenectomies. Do you atrophy easy? Are your midlife rock band aspirations realizing their potential? Buy your kiln-fired voodoo effigies here. Mix spit and clay with newly garnered pubic hair. Varnish nail varnish red addict figures to your avatar's eyeballs. See new formalism's lush in action. At first, Tracy regretted it, then she didn't. Gilbert rejoiced over the yellow laminated altars and life-size Mickey Mouse. George wanked and took the triptych to the cleaners. Our entry fees guarantee your unique experience. Go spiraling out of control with our talent enlarger. Relax while bird bars twitter and dribble sublimated intent. Riding shotgun in a side saddle makes for a near miss. a faux round bow, hard as marbles, flogging postcards from Abyssinia. She, having to cram a hole with a desk blotter, always when it's her own blood parsimonious. But how those mod squatters drang and clash, Tommy guns and skirtless Britannias in the out of bounds. Then again, considering this is all documentary by now, time growing restive in the background like a pension-planned Minuteman about to go rampant, inflation adjusted for year zero. Fuck the vowels. I am telling you it's a jungle out there. Hold on to your kahunas, kid. You don't know how to row, swim, and if you can't swim, drown quiet-like. What Jesus said, having done it a lot better, so why bother, bro? Only, and now, ladies and gents, presenting Shit Creek the Musical. Ram Bowen had nothing on this. Quelle steeled, quelle merde. Tonight only, idiots free. The blonde, raving about plate tectonics and ozone, says she wants a refund. Can you believe that? Thank you.
Hello, thank you for coming. I'm Joe Garcia, and I'm in the vlog. Well, the thing I'm going to read tonight is called, maybe it's appropriate, it's called Poet's New Year Lament. They're begging for it up the tailpipe. Where have you gone, big balls, Billy? Where have you gone, religious respect and authority? We love you, arrogant and money drunk. We hate you, arrogant and money drunk. Comfort us, savage tentacles of state. Power enforced with robots and piping hot guns. Read the papers, check your phones. It's a world full of naked chicks in search of a cluck. Everywhere, another naked chick, and man, she wants to cluck. Rev 'em, rev 'em, rev 'em up. Darling, there's a big engine to feed. It's always turned on. Virile financial pimps and limp-wristed football coaches. Unfaithful wives drunk on Italian chalk. The 105-mile-per-hour zinger. A midnight train straight up your tailpipe. A frontal attack against booze and fun. Against Islam. Against boxing and other unnecessary roughness. Against the poor. Against cruelty to dogs. Against millionaires. Screw your millionaires. We insist on the billionaire. Go ahead. Kick the crap out of convention. Hang-ups. Convictions. Obsessions. Give it to society on the keister. It's all CIA and militants and vampires. Sexually aggressive pansexuals. Read the papers, check your phone. They're begging for it at the tailpipe. Breast fixation. Screw it, we'll take the tailpipe. The search for the 2-minute orgasm. 2-minute warning. 2 minutes till she blows. The word on the streets is, you can't bang your stick. Gingham and leather. Don't forget the petroleum jelly. Oh yeah. We're addicted to the tailpipe. Meet Taylor. She's addicted to cable television. Technology in Hawaii. Meet Jamie. She works at the hottest transgender club in southern Arkansas. Meet Alexis. She's soaking wet, simply gorgeous, naturally naughty, Tight pink and blonde. Tight pink and blonde. Don't it get you going? Imagine that on your face. Don't it drive you mad? Somebody's got that on their face. Why not you? She's screwing somebody. Why not you? Australian cherries, Colombian sweethearts, uninhibited Czech nasties. These chicks, they're uninhibited, looking for a cluck. $35 in, $125 out. Japanese exchange students. Big tool, nude. Full body on the table. We accept all coupons. Contact Ray. Get him here, come on down, don't delay. Get your quality cannabis card. Because choosing the wrong medical office can land you in jail. Thank you.
But what I'll read today is a short story that I wrote after reading some of the Václav Havel's letters to his wife from prison. And it's called Enclaves. The state comprised several enclaves on whose borders all letters were being censored. Illegal trade in diamonds and gold flourished. The word cipher existed in all 37 officially listed languages. The additional 2 were artificial, and enthusiasts who patiently invented words like refrigerator or airplane self-published their dictionaries in samizdat. There is something at the heart of happiness which is definitely not happiness. If one pictured happiness as fruit under its wind, orange, juicy, almond-flavored and soft as baby buttocks, there was a hard black stone from which poison could be distilled, provided one tried hard enough. It was an indisputable advantage of writing letters from behind the bars that even such sentences sounded full of import. Week after week, he would send his wife detailed probings of his conscience, along with advice on how to mend boilers and minute jotted schemes of circuit breaker distribution in the hall. It filled him with pleasure as though he was reaching a long, invisible hand over the threshold of his flat. Once, to back up a hypothesis, he wrote that he was able to rely on her fully only after she had told him about her teenage hospitalization. The last sentence of a curt message that arrived 5 weeks later read, "My things are no one else's business." Occasionally, he would pepper his letters with surreal expressions to keep the censors busy. Once, upon an irreverent allusion to one of the jailkeeper's names, 4 letters got inexplicably lost. Every time he ended a page on Love You, he felt a bittersweet pang telling him that in some respects life behind the bars was indeed much simpler. His ability to perceive paradox soothed him, made him assure himself he was probably still sane. Once upon a time there was a youth, and to this youth an old hag had foretold that his life would be changed by a struggle with a 2-headed dragon. He discovers the prediction was true only on his deathbed, when a recollection of a long-forgotten crossroads suddenly springs to his mind. The draft of the parable remained, characteristically as he liked to think, unfinished. He would often return to that fateful moment when, drunk to the gills, he divulged the incriminated letter to an informer. Is it really possible for life to split at a single moment into 2 opposing trajectories, completely described by the choice A, respective B, he would marvel? There were days when he could almost physically feel the presence of the other self by his side. Despite his poor knowledge of philosophy, he kept constructed series of syllogisms that in turn proved and disproved that a subject may achieve moral advancement by consulting his other self from an adjacent possible world. In the end, he reached the conclusion that the Theseus dilemma could not be resolved, only circumvented, as with all dilemmas. At a time when the protests were culminating and even the most cautious of them were getting swept up by the surge of enthusiasm, she picked up her daughter and drove her to their summer house. In the tin box where, during the short 6 months of their life together, they used to leave small coins, jewels, IDs and occasional notes to each other, she left a message saying she was leaving out of fear for the girl, just in case. It wasn't the actual reason, but stretching the canvas on the next morning, her head still spinning with hangover, she decided to ignore the uncertain cloud of her motivations. Mutilated figures on 2 vertical planes emerged from and melted into a pattern of leaves, chicken wire and metal plates. The baby slept and cried and fed on her breasts, while the news on the radio grew increasingly self-congratulatory. Their common friend arrived in his old wreck of a car, saying that the first wave of arrests had left some families from the cell fatherless and her help would be appreciated. She swung the rolled canvas onto the back seat of the car and slammed the attic door of his house behind it. She said this once her best, but she doesn't want to see it anymore. Well, you know how S can be when she fires up. The gap in conversation lasted for 4 weeks, after which a short note arrived saying S was off. An improvised search later revealed that the man with whom she emigrated was most likely just a chance acquaintance. They couldn't have known each other for more than 5 days. From that point on, the 2 men's letters grew in bulk, and their friendship, founded on the basis of pure speculation and untainted by a touch of reality, deepened. A note, no stamped, no date, said, "I'm fine. I won't try defending myself. The little sweetie loves the sea." She stole the bundles of papers from the attic of her grandmother's house at the end of one holiday, fearful but more or less determined. She would go through them again and again during her teenage years, wondering why no one ever seemed to miss them. She was haunted by the idea that either everything around her or herself alone could be real, but never both simultaneously. At other times, she would be pursued by a vague sense of guilt, as if she was in some unaccountable way responsible for everything. One of the letters read, "I was trying to explain to you that this would-be search for truth of yours is like trying to mine the spark out of a diamond by cutting off all of its facets." Once she was given a tiny book on psychoanalysis, and it made her think that all her stories about her parents were just elaborate self-fashionings on her part, which she could keep crafting until the balance of guilt on both sides seemed perfect. After he graduated with a degree in psychology, her boyfriend entered a human resources position at a company that soon turned out to be a sect. After the company went broke, he transferred to a state-run organization. For some time, she would be lying around the house, surrounded by books and vaguely planning to apply for a degree in psychology to compare all the major types of neurosis with main philosophy trends, herself wondering at whom exactly this vengeance was aimed. During their trips to the sea, she used to sit on the rocks where the locals put up white crosses and where plastic flowers were lying in regular intervals, imagining the people who once might have thought a cliff the end of the world. In a long and unbroken line, they rose from the soil, straightened their backs, walked toward the cliffs, and at the end of a smooth curve, plunged into the sea to merge with it. The state comprised several enclaves on whose borders all letters were being censored. Illegal trade in diamonds and gold flourished. The word cipher existed in all the 37 officially listed languages. The additional 2 were artificial, and enthusiasts who patiently invented words like refrigerator or airplane self-published their dictionaries in Samizdat. As the neighboring countries' historians were gradually coming to terms with the fallen regime, they were getting interested in minor dissident figures too. One of them, a student, tracked her down and asked her for the letters she had been hiding away ever since her childhood. In the capital city's archive, he showed her a few more notebooks full of fragments of thoughts and lists that made no sense to her at all. Layers, slows, asymptotes, spheres, ostinato, ebony, silence. The editor and the publisher got into a quarrel over the title of the book. "You can't just sum it all up in a few words like that," laughed the publisher, and in the end the book was simply called Circle and Analogy. So basically he hasn't come up with anything, was the thought that flashed through her mind when she picked up the book from a small table next to the champagne glasses and put it into her handbag. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks very much for inviting me to. I'll start. Okay. Hark. A bleeding heart soaked in the root of the first line. The whole system itself, an elaborate cut for an alien post-punk group's debut beat. Colossal email checklist. Journeying through a prism light. Disambiguating fuck all of the terms. A ballon plonks onto a part-punted pound row of surfaces. Schrodinger's logcat of categories and navigation templates all synergistic. Fucking multiplicity. The police are not allowed to refer to the meetings if the case goes to court with a set A strings, finite sequences on fixed alpha, fine form, past misery, giving, having. A heart worn with such resilience that it can even resist its own yawns, tries to withdraw the thread added to the infinite Ponzi scheme of life, natural and historical, and, as punishment, gets what it always had, a life sentence. Agreements are put continually elsewhere, never delivered. This is not unethical, quite the agency. Go figure, then come back.
One transposed on everyone. Some kind of deity, waking all at different times, waving double-digit billion arms super around. Bloemfarbroekchen, gas-mask dervish, and the street running out of the figures that emerge from some billowing clouds, pushing strands of yellow night into the day. Charsi hai seye karsi, everything against everything else, pushes out itself, convergence of impossible opposites, scratches rapidly for the penultimate itch, like alcoholics drink for their one before last. The commons of culture, places of vantage. The canal water is tested for drugs. Some police people break their own bodies, 120-hour shifts, your shield as your pillow. Americans are good at everything. 1 soldier suicide per hour, 1,000 plus army sexual assaults per month. Feed me numbers, please. Administrate dose of statistics. Arrange perspectives. Can work with irony, but she tries to kick it. Fuzzy concepts. Print in precise textbooks. Final exams stolen from high school. Where do they keep these things? And the act negates itself. Everyone rewrites their exam from rabbit dreams, diagonal into a waking, ravaged panorama of all peaks. Punctuated equilibrium of guttural expulsion, inconsistent rebel of deixis, prefix escalation on the street. Productive differentiation amongst bodies proliferates in face of waxing violence. We sit realistic, we dance anarchistic, we slide communistic. I slump into gloom, I twitch myself broken. If doing nothing were real, exploding my head, inject the needle direct into skull, proceed yourself with prisms of the swarming vectors. Individuation package, your person of this moment. You start by axing out the other. Options include what you decide, perhaps intended. The point was, my body is controlled by beasts. His god is max buff but weary of his testosterone. He stops speaking to other men. She stops speaking to other women. How to stop playing the beautiful mind? Holy is as holy does. One girl tattoos the words "fuck me harder" onto one butt cheek of one other girl, trying to live up to my inconsistencies. Some Buddhist says, right organ in the right object at the right time. First he repairs gay people, then he converts to homophilia. Okay to celebrate your orifice as long as you're no Buddhist. The evilest, most prettily heavy-robed. I am ignorant, but invite you to verify my suspicion with me. Heavy your load everywhere. Cover all shattered together, fitting odd out pieces, puzzle their jagged throughways, works of passage, pin a pudding to a wall. You are incredible, thanks, types the robot above morphic resonance bleeps. It stays there where it unfolds gently, ending everything. Superstar quote goes viral. Messiah with Messiah complex. Too many shards of personality. Obsessive disorder. Compulsive, hopeful, talking heads. An exact date for an end of the world. Ask an apocalypticist for all of her belongings. Ask Deepak to explain quantum. Ask a physicist to explain quantum. Neither will be able to, but one understands why not. decapitation on the football field, pull yourself up unlucky on a rooftop in the middle of a rooftop of a machete revolution. And the very smart phone, the instant social platform, he revolves around his axis, repeatedly, a downward spiral. Instead of masturbation, she makes unseemly lists, events that cup her hand to oval mouth, gag her reflex. Sometimes it gives her cancer. And still the broken bodies, breaking bodies. What we inflict one love upon another, trade often one direction, make art in an office, distinguish your circles, extract your creation from clockwork, vice versa, your personal desert, shot through with your face. Sing along to molecular frequencies, fucks your wiring. We have real straight-up heroes. Everybody knows that you need a hug. Which one of those got you the most hard? Dolphins, for some reason, they have this weird fucking affinity with humans. You know what it is? They don't have thumbs, and they know we have guns. Let me tell you how committed this guy is to food. He takes his drugs so he can still eat pork. Like a bird that lives in the yard. You live this life. If you make even one mistake, you will come back to do it all again. They voluntarily went off the drugs to go back to the hallucinations. He might have been living a Winnie the Pooh ride. A tear falls unnoticed. She dresses like a boss. He is an unemployed professional. Mourners belly dance and sing praise. You want to force in the feed, sustenance as violation, shimmer in and out of being. I would hunger strike if I was true. Instead I daydream of extra lives, not one after one other, parallel states between waking states. The part where we are told about broken moments, a sharp line folded infinite, uneven. Infinita tristeza, a moment very important. Well, okay, I feel riddled and solved. You can decide these things from distant vantage points, from nowhere. Swallow your self-help book, spit toilet towel one-liners, frisbee your Halo game. Remember, knowing mid-air, or you say in the sun, memories of happy, not the most interesting state. My life worth 35,000 boyfriends. And how often do you see your parents? Family holidays together? Vaccinate the ones you love. If I were to kill you, I would choke you to death. It would be like a condensed replaying of our relationship. Corners of a 5 a.m. and the day is sunny and happy. Only when I venture guesses into the outsides of things. On his way to the hospital. Everyone is on their way to the hospital. Late for sleep. Turn snooze sides. Snooze pillow over nose, eyes, behemoth snooze. Fat sir snooze, petite liberal snooze. Bourgeois snooze. Pourquoi snooze, forget snooze. Capitalist realist snooze. Shunts for black light from voids in the brain, versions of auto-anxiety. Excess of sit-up sudden. Back as blackboard, the lullaby rhythm. He builds a mountain house on his city's rooftop. They both change their names to each other. For different stories, their reasons stick out. Protrusions undo him into tumbleweed wire. His friend does taxidermy, positions flies with mini beer crates, and TV pronounces V as vow. Was all looked out. Open wow effects with tired eyes. The shark swims upstream in the wrong river. How is the water? What water? Shift your lens caps, corrosive, cynical, fragilic, gradual, glances of heavy love, full flows of direct desire, solicit the body. What then should I have done? Here, my body ossifies, and anyway, the eye is not a camera. My retina peels off its surface, sometimes optomographically detached, entangled with its stuff and wires. Short-circuit, cutty camera angles, all parts of the body collide in order to cohere from a shared, or disperse from a shared departure. The body flicker fusion threshold for the eye. The shifting, ever-empty square, a rift runs through. Is that regular? One moment splitting shards into infinity? Such body cannot contain this damn eternal evanescent bliss. Retraces steps into a shattered mirror, slamming into peace. A girl slides bling-bling across barren plot, hides from time and will have been dawn. The noise of a projector playing silent footage of an atomic explosion. A girl makes love to God, fucks God. A bling-bling girl feels starlight, definite thump light. A suit and bowler hat steps onto a sheet of middle city ice and floats beneath a bridge into a darkness beyond the tales he has been told. We see a record, it spins inside the Siamese twins. They ceaseless sing their one Russian lullaby. A camera locks us into sight. The shutter time is 1 minute long. The whiteness blinds all of the light. Luminous flux perceiving luminous flux. And everything returns and it's just bliss. Thanks.
Louis mentioned that this particular issue was a lot about collaboration. To that I would add that VLAK as a project from issue number 1 has been a lot about translation. It's sort of international, transnational nature, making that very much a necessity or one of its focal points. So my modest contribution is both a collaboration and a translation. With a colleague of mine, Veronika Stankowanska, we've been working on translating the novel Ash by Philippe Solers. Ash or H or Ha, standing for hashish, probably. For those of you unfamiliar with that experimental text, it's a 1972 novel text inspired by or coming to terms with the May 68 student revolution in Paris, and it's famously written in the form of an unpunctuated textual flow that just runs for 230 pages. And here's one of them. I love you, brother, Jew, Baiju, Bijou, and you could be an exemplary column full of new names, not pigs at all. And you who are neither cold nor boiling hot, you'd better plug in your fridge or really turn up your gas, lukewarm. Tends to make me throw up, so I stand at the door, and if someone hears my voice and takes me in, I like to dine with him and focus on the general situation, and even democratically, but not without music, not without a trumpet. Climb up here and you'll see what comes next, the need of alliance between the working class and the intellectuals. Ah, I'm overjoyed again in the flexible language in its emerald rainbow, and schluff to me the 24 elders with their golden hearts, and boom, there you go. The flashes, the thunders, the voices, and the 7 senses. 2 more than for you, my dear ones. And the sea of crystalline glass, and the 4 animal directions full of eyes up front, and behind it's always better than your cinema. If I like to see a lion, a calf, a man, or an eagle with 6 wings, and its gaze turning outward and inward night and day, with the present imperfect future to the same rhythm, what a water slide. My lambs, you have no idea what the message is, and all the broadcasting channels, but one could equally well say that it's there that the worm invades the fruit and prevents them from ever being anything other than their pathetic self-centered piston pushing itself, me, in secularum, amen. So I've got a better and better understanding of the turbine. I have a better insight in the kidnap from beginning to end. Talk of the unconscious. That will make you spend the time with your folks. Me, I'm speaking of the détournement. It's a whole other thing, a knife fight here between that which goes through me and the obstinate front, once called fiendish. Don't trust for even a second those sleepers who tell you nothing is further away from the truth. The term prophet appears around 980, concerning passion taken in the physical sense. It's in the 12th that one speaks of prophecy from the Greek prophetes, literally, he who says in advance. You're going to check yourselves, at least those of you who aren't too enrooted. Whence comes this rudeness? I don't know. Yes, it's really limitless. Yes, it makes my heart tougher than diamond. What a stone. I've got my gab taken away from having swallowed this starter, which is worthy of opening this volume and of breaking the seals. I'm asking you for a little of our days. Need one start crying because no one can look inside? Need one become this ram with 7 horns, specializing in reading, without which, what does one read unless one's petty urge under a P? Let's go, welcome here, with golden harps and cups scented rhythmical. It's time to wash a little, even with the best soap and all the perfumes of Araby. Our hands are going to end up feeling a bit too much sperm. Shit, it exists, it's understood, but there's nothing to do about it. a unique pot or plate. The important thing beyond blood is to live through all tribe, all language, all people, all nation. Let's go, move a bit, your vision is low. No one ever said dialectical materialism had to limit itself to hand on basket for a yes or a no. Exert your card a bit, reopen the booklets so that the opera start anew, hither and thither. Hop, hop, show yourselves the integrity with 1,000 wishes. You're arriving in Chinese at meow. Otherwise, said a miracle, whereas simultaneously without desire it'll be chow. The cover gets used to the washing powder. All right, that will do for the moment. What do you make of it? Not bad. Maybe you could push the critique of Jesus Christ Superstar a bit. There's an entire public of thugs who are hereby likely not to follow a mass of little lost souls. Your take on things is a bit distant. Listen, the demo is a backdrop. They need a history at the level of cops, cars of the bourgeoisie, at the level of the clerics, speech aligning their words of notaries, underworld, queers, corrupted perverts, drugged. Oh, the white collars from the party. You realize they forbid Hugo if it comes to it, and sure enough Baudelaire, if he lived in their time. Imagine Proust's God seeing the blokes and the girls pass underneath his windows with their banners shouting Sodom, Gomorrah. The fighting goes on. He looks, listens, turns toward the French governess. It's time regained. Bring me nonetheless a shawl. Imagine what it turns out in such conditions. The correspondence, Gide, Claudel. Do we have to publish Corridon? What era? But watch out, make no mistakes. Is it on the drop or on the rise? Is it the end of the Roman Empire? Where are the new primitives in our regions? Decadent school was taken as a title for a literary school around 1885, after Verlaine's verse. I am the empire at the end of decadence. But things are, so to speak, worse and better. It obviously depends on your point of view, which doesn't prevent one from fully realizing all the symptoms. Philippe Sauer.
I might read like 6 poems. What's inside rock? Light, happiness, pockets, plugged. By plug, my past life by yellow memory shone away from completing. This poem is called Alien vs. Ned Kelly vs. Robocop vs. Terminator. A class of maker slaves works to be judged and eaten back into plates of asset, or such curves as report valued mothers and bounce again stroked data starring permanent want. As surely from here as their frozen arms, 2 savages walk into a bar in a spray of beef headlight on Victoria Grimm's market, wet with deodorant only once near the stars again, dizzy with the rezoned voice of keys or legs applying to the eye of a house where robots come. Oh, are you all right? Oh, 'tis a movie, and felt hard, but was nearly there. A brown thread curtain wrapping crooned vampires from denial that Borkus's habit of value knocked against the lost shoch time that ended near parking. Jim's cold face turning from metal to rock at the beginning, and vague guns, best the smell coming over the earth under a tree, knit grass of near the land's blown up sunlight as you wake Jesus, who, scudding towards the entrance, blasts those robots with a rifle of air tucked in beard Rothenberg protects, chanting mother values. I bounce again, steel of Ishtar opening the linguistic suitcase on Brighton, on the smell of an if I had a rocket launcher, and curry, the clash of spices, no more call box, no more blues. That poem is about, it's about Victoria, Australia, and the Blues Brothers, and Jesus and Jerome Rothenberg, I guess.
Same thing.
I'll read some new poems. This has no title. I was shocked to discover no trace remained. Each time I pushed, I was shoved back out of the way. It's not inaccurate, it's a lie. And one more than time. If I can find it. This one has Jesus in it as well. It's from the 29th of October. Air on skin, Ron's skin. Does anyone, the sun, is out today, a shovel and a dog, and voices into sounds, sounds out of voices, heard whistles, light and wind, heard cars, images of the hands at their wheels, higher cackle, then opening the blinds with a rattling, or now some October sun can get in, though does anyone to put up the break for the corner by Louis, and Louis is actually a restaurant near where I live. Break for the corner by Louis, and more wind smells, leaves kicked. That dog yipped as we went up towards the main street at night, Joel and I. Ron stayed in bed by the wall, whistling into some fresh air, brief tunes to take his mind off sticks in his body, never mind space or always turning right. Change, hetero pups flirt in a box, lamps are soft to calm. There's Jesus from lips and funerals imagined, and Badai, like a hectic hack knocked into a board to ruin looking. I looked down last night into that odd space left open in the floor at Ostkreuz. What's the word for a huge upside-down trough of light grey gravel here and there, beer bottles looking even smaller and fewer of them than you'd think, then cigarette butts besprent in full crowds, very distinct and funnily large, yellow in the paler dusk, cannot end with not knowing something, because these flowers on the cover where Ron's body shook are ink, and a mix of fake and real. Here leaves covering stems, here petals over stems, though at times stem does not join stem. There's illusion in decoration. Back to air, forgetting those memories, a bit of lazy web, clotted with street dust, fresh air brought hangs there near that wall and moves sometimes, neither tail nor nail. Ghost squares were briefly cast in by a passing truck.
The first poem now is called Venice. It used to be called something else. Venice. Abbreviated heads, a certain prime set, invisible fingers, a sidewalk of air. Shattered fallacy, espoused with frugality that splashes the one false. Measure folded over, pink and yellow, topical antibiotics, it cripples. The eight's inversion, from eyes on the ground to eyes on the ground, evacuated in green. 2. Ooze from the left, lobster's pinchers, unaddressed but not open, to the counterpoint that curled, a retirement of flowers, microphoning substance to reflect the non-empty inside everyone's lungs, by contracting the impious degrees of fondness or decoding the nestles from nettles of our porous domes. 3. In-universe, parallel one-ways, face caves wait for the wall to crumble into another turquoise corridor where shoes are of no use, but where money is an enclosure. For discrete breathers, a scepter that occurs in clusters or not at all, an important variable, pressurized us to invent laughter. After being buffaloed by a sodbuster, the sea smells of the hated form of political representation, and the fluidity of banks never changes in spite of the shape that creeps into the jaundice instead of the ocean. 4. Over the 118 islands in feathered blackness, the city masks an exemplary hierarchy that we remembered. Disgust is unjust. While the waves were framed by static, a mannerist concealment was eating into this dwelling, snowblind allocation. 5. For the sake of the 7th, gentleness temporarily, skull bells broadcast, personal forgetting, and skin silks to rain patterns, after in the centers for a flutter of a rotation. The hemophiliac persists by adopting lichen, the grip slip by mental application. A straitjacket of light brained me brine cripped from my eyes stalagmite desire. Embodied ventricles, whose dirty toenails are over compasses with wings and winged missiles barrel over madrigals into the zero towards another stairwell. 6. The parameters of the slowest dissociation in Bode particle board come from the center of a volcano, a glass chamber where our alchemic spit sticks to the aperture for words of the other we desire, to hold the world as the world and no more. 7. Without the conditional trust in, to toll more like a lower chord of the ocean, our tertiary chain strengthens today's continent of weather dissonance by carving out giblets, the graded tenders, the lagoons, parabolas, and the edges snake along today's detergent. Polluting the gutters is a series of functions cut off from the world. A puddle of sorrows, diced tongues. Its rightness is not a question we can finance, but we will to be outside the city, centripetal egos. Can't remember, 7 or 8. 8? In another century of fragments, at the table, a high ratio of gray patches flooded the fictive walls with eyeball wrinkles, tension. Between the inwardness of protection and its isolating saturation, that this jointness does not cancel, though it does splendor. 9. At the moody chasm of misplaced concreteness, the fried placenta stores for never, and the mirror is never empty. But the simulated hiccups, a canal and its safety, to acquisition blanket warmth from the nexus of funds dementia, cysts, fits, and love. 10. Clasping the unclaspable, enemy of vampires, to record dignity without splattering the untruth of the machine. A martyr backstage awakens as quagmire condenses in praise. Her voice is radiated above the others through the blender. My spastic masticator rewinds unseen ballistics to siphon collagen emissions like a squid blinking ink. The spleen's windowlessness shatterproofed, pentatonic grief archive groans triumphantly. Body tingles, uneven angles, cauterize alkaline mechanisms. Unable to bend, music begins from medical treatment without fanfare onto the willows against ourselves. Thank you.
yourselves.